It should be. And this is my yearly outfit.
Good morning. Happy Easter Sunday morning. Welcome to Unity of Port St. Lucie. Bunch of new faces this morning. It's great. And the tens of thousands watching on YouTube. Yeah. Let's begin our service this morning by singing together One Light.
Every person that I see, it's the light that shines inside of me. One light brings us all together. One light is like you and me. One light shines in every person that I see. It's the light that shines inside of me. It's the light that shines inside of me.
The voices are filling up the sanctuary. That's a nice sound. Thank you. I'd invite you now to settle back in your chairs and relax and consider these words from our prayer for inner peace. I open my mind and heart this morning to the presence of God that is within me and in everyone and everything. That one power and one presence are that God's peace fill my being. In this presence, I am peaceful, poised, confident, and strong. I relax in God's loving care and release all of my cares, knowing that God is upholding me and sustaining me in all that I do. God's presence calms me, quiets the storms around me, and leads me to a place of perfect peace. As I center myself in that peaceful presence this morning, I let go of every concern and relax in the safety of God's love and in the love of those around me. I find Unity of Port St. Lucie a sanctuary of love and peace, and I am open and receptive to receive all it has to soothe my mind and soul this day. And so it is. Amen. Would you join with me in stating our statement of faith? There is only one power and one presence in my life and in the universe, God, omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence. And our core values, why are we here? Unity of Port St. Lucie encourages diversity, embraces harmonious and creative pursuits of truth and knowledge in a safe environment to achieve balance and wholeness in the world. Well, it's also Easter Sunday, but it's also the first Sunday of April, birthday Sunday. All you April babies, can you wave at me? There you are. Yes, yes. Maestro, hit it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. So welcome once again. Why don't we socially distance and greet one another, waving around the room. Hopefully shortly we'll be able to express some physical hello and how are you. Our congregational song this morning is Christ the Lord is Risen Today. Please stand and sing along. You can't beat the classic tunes, I'm telling you. This morning, our daily word will be read to us by Shanetta. There you go.
Good morning, and a happy Easter to all of you. Thank you. The word for today is arise. I welcome my resurrection experience. In Mark's Gospel, the women who come to anoint Jesus' body on Easter morning flee in terror when, after finding the tomb empty, they are told that Jesus has been raised. Stories from early Christian communities describe the transformation from fear to faith as Jesus' early followers come to realize that not only even death can hold Christ's spirit captive. Oh, sorry, my glasses are giving me trouble these days. With joyous faith, Jesus' followers greet one another, declaring, "He is risen," and affirming, "He is risen indeed." Letting go of fear, I say yes to my resurrection experience. Guided by the resurrecting power of the Christ Spirit within me, I am set free from the tomb of lack and limitation. I follow Jesus into the light of new awareness, a new dimension of life. Christ is risen in me. And in Mark 16:6, it says, "But he said to them, 'Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has been raised. He is not here.'" Let us repeat the affirmation for today together, please. I welcome my resurrection experience. Let us now prepare for meditation.
I see glory on His face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I invite you now, friends, if you haven't already, I invite you to close your eyes and begin to relax deeply into your chair or your sofa at home. Relax deeply, releasing any tension, letting go of anything at all outside of you. Begin to draw your attention inward. As we draw in breath, so too we draw our attention into our heart space, following our breath. And we take it in. It nourishes us. We become one with it. And when we release it, parts of us travel with it. We focus our attention inward on that process, the miracle of life itself, going on right here, right now, inside of each of us. We imagine that heart space in our solar plexus as the very seat of our soul, the throne of the Christ within us. And today, particularly today, we acknowledge that presence deep within us, that potential to continue to rise up over and over and over again over seeming obstacles. The Christ potential inside of each of us. That resurrection that happens every time we overcome doubt, sadness or fear, anger, emanating from this throne inside of us, this place where Christ lives in each of us. Let us, friends, take just a moment in the silence to embrace the magic, the miracle of the Christ within us in the silence. And then Very slowly. Very slowly, gently. Let us each return our attention to the outer, the place where we live and breathe and have our being, the place where we shine our lights, our Christ lights, everywhere we look as we open our eyes, reawaken our senses, coming together and singing a song about love. Thank you. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
You have multiplied since I last looked out there. I see some familiar faces, faces of people we haven't seen in a while, and boy, that makes my heart soar. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome home. Welcome home. And to those of you here for the first time or the second or the third, welcome back as well. I hope you enjoy yourselves. We're happy to have you. What a day. Oh, what a day, right? Before I begin my talk, from the very depths of my heart, happy Easter, baby brother. Glad you're with me. That's a shout out to my baby brother who texted late last night and said, "What time can I check you out tomorrow and where?" And it's his birthday down in Key Largo. Thank you, Dale. I hope you heard that. You got applause. You received applause, something you didn't bargain for this morning when you get out of bed, I'm sure. What a special day it is, friends. Really. Can you feel it in the air? I can. I was looking for it as the sun broke over the pond behind my home, and the sky was a soft pink, and the sun was just beginning to rise. And I said, wow, here's my sunrise service this morning. Thank you, God. You know that there are over 2 billion Christians in the world? 2 billion. That just, I can't even wrap my head around that number. It's so big. Compared to 1.9 billion Muslims and 1 billion Hindus, Christianity is the largest religion practiced in the entire world. 2 billion people for whom the Lenten season, including Good Friday and Easter Sunday, are the holiest days of the year. Did you know that? The people who track such statistics decide that based on how many people show up at church that day. Lent, Good Friday, and Easter, the holiest of all the religious holidays for Christians. For over 2,000 years, friends. That kind of information just is, to me, staggering. It humbles me to stop and pause for a moment and just think about all the brothers and sisters we have around the globe. 2 billion. I don't know how many of them attend church, but I think for sure, even if they don't, on this day, they reflect, even just if it's for a moment, on the meaning of the day. How could they not? So steeped are we in the tradition of Lent and Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Think about that, friends. The significance of it, the significance of this ancient story, over 2,000 years old. Wow. The final week of the life of this man called Jesus, prophet, teacher, preacher. I'm not going to pick up the Bible and read the story to you because I know you all know it, but I am going to summarize it. So last Sunday, according to the story, Jesus rode on a donkey into the city of Jerusalem. And during the week following, friends, among other things, he chased merchants out of the temple. He threw what is referred to by many people as his temple tantrum. I love that story because it gives me permission to have one when I need to. I mean, after all, if Jesus threw a tantrum, why not me? He begs God during the week to spare his life, right? He shares a final meal with his closest friends. What an awesome thing to be able to do days before you die, don't you think? Share a meal with his closest friends. He is interrogated during the week several times by his enemies. He's ridiculed publicly, sentenced to the most horrible deaths. Crucifixion was a death. I don't know if you know this, but according to historians, it was a form of death that was prescribed by the Romans for anybody who posed a threat to their rule, to the sanctity of their power. People were nailed to a cross and displayed publicly as a warning to anybody else who might have ideas about rising up against the Roman Empire. So he was betrayed, he was ridiculed, he was sentenced to crucifixion, he was tortured, he dies, and then he rises from the dead. Oh, what a week. Oh, what a week. What a story. All of it true? I don't know. I don't know. Neither do you. No one knows. There are more than you think, probably, theologians who say that many of those events are meta-historical. Now, there's a word you don't hear every day. Meta-historical, above history, not actually things that happen. Many people believe that it happened and believe every word of it literally. And there are some who are somewhere in between those two spectrums. Isn't that true about everything in life, right? And at the end of the day, it's not important. It's really not important. It's like so many other things that we want to debate sometimes, isn't it? What's the point? Think about the impact that this story has had on the entire race, on the entire human race. That's what's important. Think about the rituals that have grown up around it. The Last Supper, for example. I know many, many, many Christian churches in the world, sometime during the week, celebrate that ritual by inviting congregants to come in to have their feet washed in a very sacred ceremony performed by prayer chaplains or priests or ministers. Think about communion. There are churches who offer communion every time they meet, where people actually take bread and wine and symbolically allow it to represent the body and the blood of Christ. Think about Easter sunrise services that go on all over the world that have become such a commonplace ritual. We just have come to expect it. Good Friday services. Do you know, when I was a child, I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, sweet little college town. And when I was a child, every Good Friday, everything closed from noon until 3 p.m. Everything closed. Stores, banks, movie theaters, everything came to a halt from noon until 3 p.m. I can remember looking up and expecting the clouds to cover the sun during those hours. I expected it to happen. That was a time when we were taught to just become silent and reflect on the significance of that event 2,000 years ago plus. Think about the symbols associated with Easter. The number one symbol associated with Easter that dominates all of Christianity is the cross. The cross. Really. Billions and billions and billions of crosses everywhere in the world as a result of this story. The color purple, as I've driven around town, no matter where I am around Easter time, including Port St. Lucie, as I drive around, I make a note of the number of churches that have purple cloth displayed somewhere out in front of their church during this time. Purple is a color associated with Easter and the Lenten season. Crowns of thorns. The moment we see it, we know exactly what it stands for, do we not? And how about the customs? Some of you are in absolute spectacular Easter finery today. We have more hats out there than we do any other day of the year. Miss Sherry is sporting a brand new pink one. Miss Shanetta has a magnificent green one on. And our beloved Ginger, back with us for the first time in a while, has a magnificent hat on. And there are others. Hats are tradition. That was something that I got one every Easter as a child. Hat, new shoes, and when I was a very small child, gloves, white gloves. And the shoes were always black patent leather. And they really do shine up. New clothes. How about the treats we get on Easter? We celebrate Easter with chocolate. Yay. Family meals. Tremendous celebration. Spring flowers. Customs. Particularly what? Easter lilies. Easter lilies. I grew up in a church where the entire platform was covered with them on Easter morning. I couldn't breathe, of course, because they're so strong and I'm highly allergic, but they were there nonetheless. I didn't know when I was a child why my eyes were watering. I found a little poem about Easter lilies I want to share with you, written by a lovely lady. She says, Easter lilies, can you hear what they whisper low and clear? In dewy fragrance, they unfold their splendor sweet, their snow and gold. Every beauty breathing bell, news of heaven has to tell. Listen to their mystic voice. Hear, O mortal, and rejoice. Hark, their soft and heavenly chime. Christ is risen for all time. Christ is risen on Easter Sunday. This is the subject being discussed all around the world today. Yeah, the message is going to differ slightly from church to church. Some will be talking about the fact that shame on us for not believing in the story. Some will be talking about the fact that we have to strengthen our faith and believe it, take it for faith as a leap of faith. Some will be talking about the fact that our sins were all forgiven on this day when Jesus rose from the dead. And some, like me, are going to focus on examining the story for the lessons that we have to learn from it. Lessons that we can use to inspire us and motivate us. Why else bother? If there isn't something in that story to inspire us, to instruct us, to inform us, and to motivate us, why bother? And I know there is, because it's being told for over 2,000 years. Jesus, it's about. The man who had issues, who stood face to face with his tormentor on many occasions. A man who used to go into the wilderness, a place of utter isolation and desolation, to speak with God. The man who credited God for his every earthly accomplishment. The man who said, God is love, period. The man who said, love your enemies. Love your enemies. Love yourself. The man who stood up to temptation. The man who gave up his body and took it up again in a way that would prove once and for all, forevermore, that death is not the end of life. Death is not the end of life. There it is, friends. There it is. The greatest lesson in the entire story. Death is not the end of life. Think about it. What those great mystics, those great priests, those ancient wisdom teachers knew, understood about life and death is all wrapped up in this Easter story. Death, friends, is the end of our earthly shell, but not the end of our spirit. When we give up our body, we enter our crematorium or our casket. We might be in the darkness for a period. I don't know. Nobody does. But ultimately, what I do know is we come into the light. We come into the light. In the Easter story, the man Jesus died and the Christ was risen. Think about that, the implication. The man Jesus died and Christ was risen. Just as Jesus' spirit lingered after his death, ours may well do the same. Once we cross over the other side of that thin veil between the natural life and the supernatural. Our spirit may linger on earth for a while. I don't know. Some churches believe that, teach that. It may be that during that time of transition, someone will see us, or a symbol of us, or a token of us. I don't know how many times in my life I've heard people say, there was a robin that lighted on my fence post this morning, and I knew it was my mother singing to me. I had one of my closest friends ever died of cancer many years ago, and the very next morning, I was just sitting in her home. I was with her for 3 months as she was dying. The very next morning, I was sitting in her home looking out the window, and I saw, the big kind of woodpecker, not the little guy, but the big one. I forget what they're called. I could not believe my eyes. I'd never seen one before. And I knew somehow that bird represented Joyce. It happens all the time. It happened in this story too. Do you remember those people who saw Jesus after he died, saw him differently? Some didn't recognize him. Those who did said his body was like shimmering, like you could put your hand through it. The lesson in the story, friends, is that life does not end when we die. The Easter story of resurrection is a powerful foreshadowing for us of the actual experience of death. Yeah, we're still talking about the death of Jesus over 2,000 years from now, and we probably won't be talking about mine 2,000 years after I die, or you 2,000 years after you die, because there aren't major institutions developing immediately after our death that will continue to tell our story for all eternity, as far as I can tell. But still, our children and our grandchildren and our nieces and our nephew and our friends and our neighbors and people who loved us and knew us will be thinking about us from time to time, talking about us from time to time, telling our story from time to time. And so we live. We live forever. This man, Jesus, influenced more people than anybody else who's ever lived. No one comes close, truly. And yes, he ascended, but not into a kingdom above the clouds somewhere. He ascended into our consciousness. Think about that, friends. Think about all the Jesus stories you know, the way he lived and the things he taught. Did all of that not influence our own understanding of right and wrong? Yes. Yes. Our continuous and valiant efforts to find a way to love each other, our courageous and selfless outpouring support to someone who's just experienced tragedy or who's overcome by sadness or who is less fortunate. I am truly inspired, friends, by the fact that 2 billion people on this planet continue to strive to do good. Over 2 billion people, at a minimum, continue to strive to do good. Continue to find ways to love one another ultimately, no matter what, against impossible odds sometimes. We may look at that sometimes and feel hopeless, but the fact is that for over 2,000 years so far, human beings have continued to strive to figure it all out. Think about it. That is absolutely true, as difficult as it might be sometimes. And when I look at that, it warms my heart. We love and live like Jesus to the best of our ability. We don't always get it right, but we keep coming back. We keep coming back. We keep beginning again. We keep rising up over and over and over again. That's my takeaway from the Easter story. It's about our own resurrection, rising up again and again, a spirit that cannot, ours I'm talking about, a spirit that cannot be put down without a struggle. Impossible. We ultimately can and do overcome anything. The examples of it are more numerous than raindrops. Anything. And we will continue to do that as long as there is life. That's what Easter's about. Happy Easter, friends. May the renewal of life at Easter bring new blessings of love, hope, peace, good health and happiness to you and your loved ones. Embrace the renewal of life this day. And now it's about the chocolate. It's about the chocolate. So I have brought some chocolate bunnies and chocolate eggs, and I am gifting you with a little piece of chocolate this morning. And my bunny helper over here, Miss Dinah, is going to come around, and you just reach in that basket and help yourselves. Enjoy it. It is calorie free. Thank you. I fib.
God sent his son, they called him Jesus. He came to love, heal and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. How sweet to hold a newborn baby and feel the pride and joy but greater still, the calm assurance this child can face uncertain days because he loving just because it is. And then one day I'll cross that river. I'll fight night's fight, no war and hate. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory, and I know it is because He lives. I can face tomorrow because He lives. All fear is gone because I know He holds the future. Life is worth the living just because He lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives. All fear is gone because I know He holds the future. And life is worth the living just because He
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Jeff. Outstanding. I'd invite you at this time to please take your offerings and tithes and gifts and take them into your hands and repeat with me our offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I love to give. The offering plates are at the rear of the sanctuary, so on your way out, that's where they go. This morning, our prayer chaplain is Stacy Murphy. She'll sit with you with some affirmative prayer needs over in the little alcove over there. Tuesday mornings, chair yoga with Lana continues. Spiritual discussion group is this Tuesday, 7 o'clock here. All are welcome. Prayer circle on Thursdays at 11 o'clock. Metaphysical Bible Dictionary and study is still scheduled. Sign-up sheets are in the back. Prayer chaplain training, April 17th, April 24th, 9 to noon here. No?
On Zoom.
Zoom. Zoom, okay. It's all good. Next Sunday, Reverend Linda returns. Thank you for that message this morning. It's just deep and fantastic perspectives. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Without you folks here, wouldn't be much of an Easter Sunday, but we appreciate you being here, the music team, Paul's team. Thank you all. And Mr. Shepherd, yes.
There will be choir rehearsal this Wednesday at 6 p.m. All are welcome.
Okay.
All you have to do is be able to open your mouth. And we'll do the rest.
All right, let's please stand and sing together our peace song.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. All is well. Thank you all.